Super Mega Baseball 3. We are on Xbox One X. It is indeed enhanced, but it does not appear to be pushing towards a 4K resolution, and it does not support HDR. So in the game here, we have a ton of different modes that we can choose from, but first off, I quickly want to highlight the customization elements that are present here. So you can go really in depth, and this is one of the best parts of the game. You get a whole layering system here for home and away if you want to change your logo design. Moving past that, you can adjust your lineup, your team cards, but you can actually go into the players and you can completely change how they look. You know, their physique, their design. You can change what kind of gear they got on, their hair, their body, even their gear. And it gets really in depth in terms of the colors and the selections within the colors that you can make. It's kind of really impressive, to be honest. I'm blown away by, you know, just the way you can actually edit and tweak almost like every part of your character. It's crazy. The amount of customization in this game is just nuts. And you can change their abilities here too. There's an achievement for making one player 99. So I did that for the achievement, but just want to give you an idea of like all of the tweaks you can make to change the team and the characters to be, you know, really whatever you want. And I think that's really cool and really makes this game stand out from other baseball games, because this one has such depth to it, and like a rich depth to it. So we're jumping into an exhibition game here. You can actually watch a game too if you want. There's a ton of different teams present. So many different options pre-built into the game, so you get all these kind of cool choices. I picked these two because they look visually neat. And then there's a ton of different stadiums. You can do all these little tweaks to that kind of stuff, and we're going to talk about that a bit more when we jump in. So this is a very different type of baseball game. So it aims for realism while presenting graphics that are somewhat cartoony in nature, but they have a nice mature level and look to them, and I think that really does help make this stand out. It fits that nice middle ground between arcade action and realism, but it actually has some fantastic kind of mechanics and gameplay in terms of capturing the feeling of the sport. And I think it kind of makes it really stand out well. And the visuals are upped a little bit more this year, and they do really look great. So you're either, you know, batting or you're pitching, depending on, you know, what position your team has. And you're trying to, you know, get around the bases. It's general baseball. So they've got 14 ballparks with unique days/nights and alternate lighting conditions based on the particular stadium. So that's kind of cool. Just a good variation in terms of like where you can actually play. And remember that there are, you know, lots of cool customization options just in regards to like adjusting, you know, your team setup. And I think that adds a little bit more value to the actual experience when you are playing it. So yeah, you get, oh wow, I can't believe they actually got that. I thought that was going way higher. There's new pickoff and base stealing mechanics. They have wild pitches and pass balls. Those are also new kind of adjustment-wise to the game. A few different ways to kind of bat and pitch too. You can do different sort of hits, like bunts and all that. You know, whatever you want to tweak. And, you know, going past that, we have designated hitters is new, and so is situational player traits. So these can directly affect the situation at any point in regards to what your team is going to be able to do, because your players might have something that either helps them, like a beneficial trait, or they might have a trait that is negative and affects their ability to perform and help you out, especially when you're getting to like the batting. Oh no. There's multiple seasons. There's a franchise mode, I guess I should say that overhead, and you can actually kind of, you know, run your team over multiple seasons. There's aging, there's retirement, there's signing/releasing of free agents. It's actually like very in-depth. I think in general they've done a really good job, you know, with capturing the baseball experience in this one. Even though it might not necessarily look like that as being like a very realistic game, I'd say this one really does achieve a good level of realism to it. And I think that's maybe important, because some crowd, they might look at this and be like, not so impressed, when it actually is a fairly impressive title. And I think they've done some nice touch-ups to the experience in order to make it a little bit better. So this is like the batting. You know, we just threw a simple one, but you can actually change the type of batting you're doing, pitching you're doing. So we got like a curveball, and then you adjust how you're throwing the ball, and I think that's kind of a really neat mechanic that's easy to understand and simple to control, just like controlling your players is easy too. and kind of a lot of fun. So other modes, there's a pennants, I guess you could say. These are online competitions. You're basically trying to climb higher and higher on the divisional platform. This game also does feature crossplay, which you can turn off in the menu if you don't want that. But I think that's kind of a nice touch to have that available, and it's great to see that included in this game. Because it's not one I would expect to necessarily, have that included. And I think that's kind of cool. Oh, that's a really bad slider there. Let's try the slider again, but we'll kind of move that way. You just kind of see how that's kind of playing out here. So they've also obviously got the exhibition mode, so you just kind of play quickly. So this is also an online game. So like there's local multiplayer for up to 4 players. There's also online multiplayer for up to 4 players. And you can do online co-op with 2 players. So that's kind of a cool option to have in the game, just in terms of being able to play with other people, like your friends and that. Because I imagine, that's an important aspect that some of the baseball titles don't quite get, is just being, those multiplayer choices in the sport. So it's nice. You get to kind of play how you want to play and customize the game however you want it to be customized. And it's just kind of got like a really beautiful suite of options in terms of content. So there's also, we went over exhibition, we went over franchise, we talked about kind of the multiplayer bit. There's also elimination, which are like elimination setups, and this can also be played in multiplayer scenarios, so that's kind of cool to see. And we kind of talked about the customization, which is very in-depth, so we'll just continue playing a bit more so you can showcase and see what this is like. But we're actually going to switch up to another good time double play on that one, exhibition match, so you can see a different scenario at play. So we set up another match here just because I think people would like to see different kind of arenas, different player teams, just to get an idea of the look and the feel in that regard. So we got these 2 fun teams going on here, and you can see it's a different kind of setup and a different kind of situation. And we get to bat again. But so I should also mention, you can see that I am using a lower ego score. I don't know if that's being caught on the top there. Yes, it is. So your ego score is how difficult the game is, and you can change to all kinds of different difficulties, but I was hoping that putting it lower would make me look really good, but I think the opposite effect has been happening here today. But yeah, it's just kind of a really fun, well done baseball game, in my opinion. I think it really does capture the experience quite well. It's got such a wealth of content to it, and I think that in itself is also somewhat surprising, just how much they're actually able to do in this one. Because at first look, and you're coming in here for the first time, you might be a little bit surprised by what this provides. And it's not I guess you could say, the biggest change in comparison of going from Super Mega Baseball, the first one, to the second one. That was a huge, I think it's fair to say, a fairly big jump. Whereas this one does a lot more kind of refinements, polishing, visual touches, and I think for the most part it's just generally a better version of the game. I think they've really fine-tuned it and got something nice, clean, and really well performing, just in terms of what it can do and what you can do within it. I think that's kind of special, and I think it's a great game for baseball fans on some platforms where they don't necessarily have the best options at this point. And I think these guys, even past that in the future, have filled a really good kind of niche and kind of captured that that style that kind of was lost, because there used to be these more kind of for everyone type baseball games, whereas now it's more of there's not a lot of choices out there. We don't really have the bigs anymore. We don't have the 2K. We don't have the backyard whatever's, I think they were called. But we do have this really good choice, and it does run really well. It's all smooth. It's got a lot of skill to it. At the same time, it can be something that anyone can jump in and have a good time playing. I should have just been able to absolutely nail that one. I keep fouling it. But yeah, it does handle quite well. I think it's fairly impressive. I love their little animations. They get more frustrated over time. You do have to do substitutions and everything like that. I don't know if you've been noticing that kind of icon be on the screen occasionally. But yeah, it's got every aspect of baseball that I think you would really desire to see. It's also got a cool score system too, so you can see how well you're doing. at your level. You actually get points for, scoring runs and actually being successful at batting and pitching. But yeah, you get the gist of what I'm going for. It's just generally a very well-rounded package. It's got a lot to it. You can spend countless hours playing this either alone, or you could play with your friends or others online. And I think that's kind of great too, because there's people that like that. And I guess, I don't know what else you could really desire out of this one. It's very comprehensive. I suppose in the future they could maybe do some additional modes, but they really do offer a lot. And yeah, that's getting easily caught. That's a shame. Anyways, that's the gist of Super Mega Baseball 3. I think they've done a really good job, capturing the sport, doing something fun with it. And I mean, it's not 100% realistic in terms of the visuals, but I think they've got a really nice visual style to it that makes this unique, because it does really live on that edge of realism. Just looking at the textures and the quality of the work and the depth. Just seeing the crowd, how they're all animated and moving, it feels like a real crowd. And then you get those intense backdrops where there's all kinds of interesting things going on. I think that's kind of really cool too. And it's just fun to play. And I haven't been doing the best obviously here, because some people are going to be particularly picky at that. But you can have a good time with it, or you can be really serious about it and ramp up that difficulty, that ego level, and really give yourself a run for your money if you're that kind of intense player. It's entirely up to you how you want to experience this one, and I think it is definitely worthwhile. And in comparison to 3, it is definitely a worthy follow-up and a good build-up on what they had going there, because that one was great, and I think this one is even a little bit better. I haven't really had any issues. It's all been running really well, and I think it looks really good.
The second baseman, Jed Jones. The shortstop, Nora Holmes.